The latest unearthed arcana, Heroes of Krynn, introduced Dragonlance's Kender to 5e D&D. A little like halflings and a little like gnomes, the Kender are a callback to some of the earliest adventures in D&D, and whether you're a veteran that remembers them fondly or a newbie that's meeting them for the first time, I'm sure a Kender is going to find its way to your table in one way or another, so you should stick around and learn everything there is to know about them in today's episode. Kender are little curious folk and about half the size of a normal human with about the same proportions. Only a bit wiry and thinner, and they have pointed ears similar to those of elves. The comparisons here to halflings are immediately apparent, and those are fair comparisons because the Kender is basically Dragonlance's version of a halfling, and a halfling is basically D&D's version of hobbits from Lord of the Rings. Dragonlance took halflings and made them their own. So what makes Kender stand out exactly? Well, take a halfling and remove all the British-esque culture and paunchy flab, add a curious and thieving streak, and make them much wilder and more adventurous, and you basically have a Kender. Because multiple people have written for Dragonlance, exactly how the Kender behave has varied a little bit. In some books, they're literally a race of thieves who can't stop themselves from swiping things, and in other books, they're merely curious and borrow things. Whatever that should mean. In some books, Kender are literally fearless and can't feel fear even when it's in their best interest to do so. But in others, they do feel fear for their friends, but not themselves, and register a bit more self-preservation instinct. It remains to be seen which iteration of the Kender will hold true in the eventual book, but for now we have a range to work with. Beyond all that, they're often described as cute and tend to have ceremonial top-knot hairstyles. Anything else that falls under a human description is fair game, though, just a smaller scale. As with the other recent 5e editions, the Kender are a lineage rather than a race. This means that the ability scores are up to you, and it only sets the racial features in stone. Bear in mind, though, these are the unearthed arcana statistics, which means they're subject to change once they're out of playtesting and land in the actual book release. Currently, though, their stats seem fun and open up opportunities for all sorts of mischief. So let's go through all of them individually and see what we got here. As for creature type, you are a humanoid, no surprise there, and as for size, you are small. While many of the recent lineages have had the option between small and medium, I'm not surprised to see small here since it's such an integral part of their lore. Strange they didn't think to give the same treatment to the fairy, but whatever. Still not a big issue, though, since the differences between small and medium creatures in 5e is pretty insignificant unless you're trying to go for grappling or pick up larger weapons. Your walking speed is 30 feet. 30 is great here, especially considering how often small lineages are bumped down to 25 feet for their little legs. So enjoy having normal speed for a change if you're used to being slower with your smaller race picks. Kender are also brave, meaning that they have advantage on saving throws that they make to avoid or end the frightened condition on themselves. At first glance, this looks different from the halfling's brave feature, but I think it's functionally identical, just with a wording that better explains itself mechanically. Brave is great when it comes up, but it will come up rarely. So when you get the chance, be sure to stare those dragons in the face and see if you have a chance of freaking them out a little. This is the Kender's big unique feature, and it'll be about as useful as you make it. It relies on a random chance, but within those random chances you'll actually have a lot of options. The gear lists have a lot to them, and just getting to snag one of them whenever you need it, granted with a random chance attached to it, has a lot of uses. I think the most common use, though, will be selling or spending, in the case of coins, the items you magically produce to shopkeepers unaware that they'll disappear. Obviously, this will only work once per shopkeeper, but I still anticipate that being a play quite often. Now with Taunt, this is going to be the thing that makes it hard to choose between Kender and Halfling. Taunt only takes a bonus action, and against single enemy boss fights, a whole round of disadvantage at the cost of only a bonus action is amazing. I expect this might see a nerf before an official launch, but get your use out of it while you can. It's also specifically charisma-based, unlike many other recent lineage features that let you choose between mental scores, so Kender are pushed a bit towards charisma-based classes. There's no more ability score matching now with the lineages, so there's also no real ideal classes, in some ways. However, the Kender have some features that push them towards certain strategies. Firstly, the Kender's taunt ability is based off your charisma, as I just mentioned, so you're strongly incentivized to either take a charisma-based class or at least build your character with some bonus to it. Taunt is universally useful and it can apply to any strategy. You're not locked into any particular build. However, charisma classes like the Paladin, Sorcerer, and Warlock are excellent options for a Kender character. The Bard is also a good option, and my personal favorite, but it awkwardly uses its bonus action frequently, which clashes with Taunt. This isn't a deal breaker by any means, but do be aware of that, and, you're not going to be able to Taunt and do that Bardic Inspiration on the same turn. I really enjoy the fact that the recent unearthed arcanas provide us a little bit more insight into these older races from the 80s and stuff like that. So even if a few of them like this and the Thri-Kreen present some weird inconsistencies or perhaps some overpowered tendencies, I don't think I mind just because we're getting all of these cool throwbacks to these old races. So bring them on, Wizards of the Coast, even if these unearthed arcanas are kind of strangely balanced. Not that I want balanced races, I kind of want all of the weird races like this that we can get. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Be sure to like and subscribe because we put out new videos like this every week. And if you're planning on building a Kender character, I would love to hear about them down in the comments. Or if you have a Kender character from way back in the day, I would definitely like to hear about those down in the comments. Thanks again for watching. My name's Patrick Ferguson from Skull Splitter Dice, and until next time, farewell.